Hello, Oracles. Well, Tesla fell just a little bit today as we go into the annual shareholder meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow, the annual shareholder meeting will be taking place at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So I will not be able to do a live stream tomorrow. I will be at work. I actually won't even be able to watch it while it's going live. So I'm going to have to check it out afterwards. But I will do a recap for everyone. We will do a live stream at the normal time tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time so that this way we can kind of rehash and go over everything that had transpired at the annual shareholder meeting. So, with the stock falling a little bit today, what can we see going into tomorrow? May see a little bit similar to today, kind of some uncertainty. Mostly, this annual shareholder meeting is kind of more of a formality. There's not usually a lot of new information that comes out, but perhaps some answers to some questions that we might have. And we'll get into some of those in just a minute. So looking at the charts today, again, down 1%, not a huge deal. Again, going into tomorrow, kind of some uncertainty. The volume was relatively low today, looking at about 105 million shares trading hands. That's not high volume from what we have seen. We've got gaps all over the place right now. So we've got gaps down to 162.95, gap above us to 177.65, above that to 183.58. We've got gaps down to 146. It's all over the place, and we're just kind of consolidating right in the middle here. So we saw that big drop after the earnings, and we've basically filled the majority of that gap on the way back up. So now it's just a matter of what do we get at the annual shareholder meeting? Is this going to be a sell the news situation, even though we're down 1% today? Don't know. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. And again, we'll go over all of that and see how we played out afterward during our live stream at 6:30 p.m. So some of the information that we may end up getting at the annual shareholder meeting tomorrow will be perhaps more details on the Cybertruck. So there's some questioning about the 4680 batteries going into it. Is that going to be delaying the Cybertruck at all? We already know that the expectations right now are that we are going to be seeing production and deliveries starting this year, most likely in Q3 or Q4, but we will not be seeing any significant ramping of it whatsoever until 2024. So while we will see the Cybertruck coming out this year, I don't think we're going to be getting any sort of major push for when it comes to revenues or how it's going to be impacting the bottom line. However, what is going to be important about it are the specs. So are we going to get some of that information tomorrow? Don't know. It'd be nice to see some of that, but I don't know if we're actually going to get that. We've obviously been seeing the Cybertruck more and more rolling around everywhere. We saw it down in Corpus Christi when they did the groundbreaking for the lithium refinery down there. So they're definitely utilizing this. So this isn't one of those questions of, is it actually coming? It is. It's just a matter of when is it coming and when are we going to see some true real volume ramping coming out of this that's going to make a major impact to the bottom line. Other things are Gary Black asking, will we be getting more information about the compact car tomorrow? That I don't know about. We've talked about it before about how with the compact car coming out, giving us too much detail ahead of time might end up delaying a lot of the sales. With demand for the entire automotive market being beaten down right now due to interest rates being so high and many people not being able to afford a vehicle or wanting to pay that high of an interest rate on a vehicle, people are kind of already waiting for prices to either come down or the interest rates to come down. So if Tesla gives us more information and more of a timeline about a compact car coming out, that might push off that even more. People who are like, I don't need a new car right now, but I wouldn't mind buying one. Looking at a compact car coming out in a year from now might say, you know what? I'm not going to buy a Model 3 or a Model Y. I'm just going to wait for that compact car to come out next year. And that might end up delaying a lot of these sales into next year, turning them into a compact car instead. So, again, going very similar to what we saw at the end of this past year in 2022, when Tesla came down on their prices, it wasn't a matter of a lost sale, it was just a delayed sale, and a delayed sale for a sale of a lower priced vehicle, which ended up being a Model Y for a lower price, or Model 3, or any of the models at this point, because they've all come down with pricing. So, with that said, if they give us too much information about this compact car, we might see a big wave of that coming through as well, with a lot of people just delaying their orders until next year. Now, speaking of orders, when it comes to mine, I was informed that mine was canceled. However, today I just got a text message telling me that I have a VIN assigned to my vehicle, so it has not been canceled. So I still can take delivery on my vehicle. I'm actually going to look into it. I still don't think I'm going to be taking it right now. I would rather be putting this money into the stock market or into other investments. But seeing as it's still open, I will take a look at this and I'll give you guys more details on that. Again, if we get that information about the compact car tomorrow, or we get more information about the Cybertruck, maybe I'm just going to have to push it off and wait until that. Now, again, I do have another opportunity coming up in the job market myself where they will be providing me with a vehicle. So I really don't want to go out and spend money on a Tesla when the company I'd be working for wants me to drive their vehicle all the time. Lots of different decisions that I need to make. But going back to Tesla itself, those are two things we may get tomorrow. Another thing we may get tomorrow is information about the next factory. We already know about Mexico. We know that that is coming up. They are slated to be breaking ground in June and looking to have that factory completed by next June or hopefully in the summertime of next year. Sounds like it might be a 12 to 15-month construction, and then at that point, they can start production. Now, I'm still thinking we are going to be hearing about an Asia Pacific factory coming up. We know that Elon met with the South Korean president a few weeks ago. So, is it going to be South Korea for a gigafactory? Is it going to be Indonesia? Is there going to be a different type of factory coming up in South Korea? We also know that Elon met with the French president today. So, is Tesla and Elon going to be investing in France of some sort? Now, in talking with Alexandra in the past, she doesn't feel like that is a very smart play to go with. There's a lot of red tape similar to Berlin. There's a lot of underlying issues on there as well. So, these talks happened. We don't know exactly what's going to be going on there. We know that the talks are about environmental things. So perhaps there's something to do with energy coming out of France. But again, no details on that. Maybe we get that information tomorrow as well. Seems like Elon has lined up a whole lot of meetings with different countries going into this annual shareholder meeting. So perhaps we're going to get a lot of that information divulged to us tomorrow. And so now, when it comes to the macro environment, we have to remember that a lot of things are delayed. So we just got some news that came out, and we don't know how true this is. Tesla has not responded, but it sounds like all hiring right now must go through Elon. Now, when we mentioned it yesterday that Elon has hired a CEO, Linda Yaccarino, for over at Twitter, this way he'll be able to focus more of his attention over at Tesla. So obviously, it's going to take 6 weeks for her to come on board, so it's not happening immediately. But we know that Elon wants to go and focus more of his attention on Tesla as it is. So now, when it comes to hiring, it's not that there's a hiring freeze or anything like that that's going on, but it seems like Elon right now just really wants to be, focused on the hiring and make sure they hire the right people that they're going to be bringing in, and they just don't want to hire and throw bodies at this stuff. So, with that being said, this is one of the protocols that a lot of companies will go through going into times that they feel are going to be very difficult. So, we've talked about it before already. Based upon where the macro environment is headed right now, could be getting into that pause, but that pause and the higher interest rates are exactly what Elon is looking at in the future as this flush out of a lot of companies. It's what we see every basically 10 years or so. And at this point, it's been almost 15 years since we've had this zombie company flush going on. Again, about every 10 years or so, last time we saw it was the housing recession. You see the entire market pull down, the entire economy pull down, and it's basically in only the strong survive type of scenario. So what's really going to happen is the strongest companies that you're going to see are still going to, have to weather this storm. They're still going to get beat up pretty hard. So nobody is going to be immune to what is going to happen. However, what it does is it shows what companies are the strongest and best positioned to pull out of that situation the fastest and the hardest. Tesla, in my opinion, is going to be one of those companies. I still also think we're going to see some tech giants doing the same things. Apple, Google, Microsoft. I think Nvidia is going to do very well. AMD will do very well coming out of this. Look at growth companies that are very profitable. Those are the companies that are most likely going to be the strongest and fastest to come out of this. Now, nobody knows the future, and none of this is financial advice. But when you look at a historic past, that is typically what ends up coming out of this. So I do still think that we're going to be getting into that difficult economic time. We've already seen some companies folding. We've seen some banks going under. That's with the interest rates going up. Just because the Fed's going to pause does not mean that that is going to end. When you have interest rates at a very high level for a long period of time, now you get into the battle of attrition. Who is going to be able to get through high interest rates for the longest? Because it's not like, oh, now that they've stopped raising interest rates, the pain goes away. Now it's just sustained pain. That's going to be the hard part. That's going to be the part that really tests where all of these companies are going to be at when it comes to their financials. So again, Tesla I think is going to be the strongest, but Elon getting back to, really focusing on hiring the best people, I think is going to be a huge piece of that because when we go into that, we may see more layoffs coming out, we may see hiring freezes going on. That in turn would mean that, hey, we have some of the strongest players out there. One of the things you have to pay attention to when it comes to the labor market as well is the fact that right now we are in a labor market that is employee friendly. And while that sounds awesome, it's not good for employers because now employers are out here basically hiring whoever they can. Again, going back to just throwing bodies at it, some employers don't have the luxury like Tesla has to go out there and pick and choose who they want. Some people are just desperate and be like, I need a warm body. I'll hire anyone. Please come in. In my job alone, we've been looking to hire people. It has gotten better. It's not where it was before, where there just was literally no one. We now have applicants coming in. So I have no doubt we are seeing that in other areas of the country and the world as well. But we could be getting into a point right now where we're really pushing more into that direction where it's going to become an employer friendly, where people are really going to need to be qualified. You're really going to need to have specific skills and skill sets to take on these jobs. And that in turn will make these companies even stronger because they'll thin out the herd, they'll take out the dead weight, and then they're going to bring in the people who are really going to be providing that sustenance that they're looking for to grow their companies as we come out of this. And they're going to be running leaner operations with even better employees at the helm. And so, what we'll end up seeing is with high interest rates sustained for a long period of time, that is when the flush out is going to begin to happen. I'm probably seeing that we're going to see that in maybe Q4 of this year and Q1 of next year, really start to see that transition happening and really kind of put the power back in the employer's control. And then we're going to see us starting to come out of this. We'll see earnings looking better because they're going to be running a lot leaner and a lot more productive with a much stronger staff in place. That I think is what we're going to end up seeing happening Q2 or Q3 of next year. And then, of course, with the timing of it going into the elections, that is when we're going to see the economy starting to recover. And then all of the politicians can then pat themselves on their back for being so awesome for doing what they needed to do to get us through those difficult times. So going back to the annual shareholder meeting tomorrow, it's going to be exciting to see again, they just kind of reiterate what we already knew was going to be going on for the fundamentals of the company. Hopefully we have some of these loose ends and little questions answered for us. Maybe we get the specs on the Cybertruck. Maybe we get some more information about the compact car. Maybe we get some more information about Mexico. Maybe we get an announcement about a new factory. Don't know. Maybe we hear about what's going on in France or South Korea or Indonesia. Whatever it is, it's going to be a good time tomorrow. So I will be looking forward to sharing all of that information with you guys at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you guys so much for watching tonight. Thank you all for all of your support. Have a great one.